In today's show, a real deal blowout. The Blazers dominate the Sixers. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter, Mike Richmond. You'll listen to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen. Coming at you each and every weekday. It's Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's show, Blazers dominate the Sixers. A real deal blowout, perhaps their first real deal blowout of the season where there was garbage time on the court, able to play the end of their bench because they're dominating a team. Their biggest win of the year by margin, just a dominant final three quarters, particularly those middle two that kind of decided the game. What a push by the Blazers to take control of this game. We will recap that one. We'll talk about the real deal blowout. Celebrate a little joy in the Blazers. You, dear Blazer fan, deserve the team just to punk a team one night. Tonight, they punked the team Monday at the Moda Center. And then I want to close the show talking about Joel Embiid did not play in this game. There is some talk about how he is, very likely to not be eligible to win the MVP. I want to share some numbers why I think it's complete and utter nonsense. Why Joel Embiid will very likely keep himself off the ballot. We'll talk a little NBA minutia to close the show, but let's do what we do. Blazers win 131-104. A dominant showing, 130-104, and they were bad early. That's the best part of this game. They're down 28-20 after one. Now, the Sixers are playing without Joel Embiid. They're playing without Tyrese Maxey. He's missed a bunch of games, but Maxey has rather. But like they're playing without DeAnthony Melton. Tobias Harris, who missed Saturday's game, it was back for them on Monday. He was under the weather, listed as questionable, but decided to play. And the Blazers get their complement of players back. Anthony Simons is, off the injury report. Malcolm Brogdon, who was the only player on the injury report who was likely to play in this one, he's playing with that knee soreness. Jeremy Grant, Jabari Walker, DeAndre Ayton in the starting lineup. You got Scoot Henderson and et al. Coming off the bench. This is basically the Blazers for until Shaedon Sharpe gets back, and that. We haven't heard an update. Maybe we will hear. He's supposed to be reevaluated like today or tomorrow. I would assume tomorrow because it's an off day. We'll see. We might get an update. You never know with the Blazers and medical updates, but I would assume we'll get an update. But this is as healthy as pretty much close to their full health before Shaedon Sharpe returns. But they're down 28-20 after one. And I thought Anthony Simons played about as bad as he could possibly play to begin this game. His first 4.5 minutes were he was bad. He was bad on offense. He was really bad on defense. They were hunting him and he was giving up points and he was turning the ball over and he was just bad. It was bad. He was struggling and it's like, oh no, Ant is having another stinker game and they're going to lose to the shorthanded Sixers team. And to be totally clear, I watched these games thinking about the pod. So I'm like, oh no, we don't need to do this again. What am I going to talk about if they play like this game? And they're down 8 at the end of one, and they just come storming out in the third quarter. A 38-27, they outscore the Sixers in the second quarter to take a 58-55 lead into the break. But they had 22 points in the paint in the second quarter. 22 points in the paint. And they also hit 6 free throws. They absolutely went in there and dominated. Took a couple non-paint twos from Jeremy Grant, but they hit 3 threes in the quarter. They dominate with 22 points in the paint. They get to the free throw line, 38 points, a huge second quarter to take a 3-point lead, 58-55 in the break. Jeremy Grant, 20 points in the first half. They're rolling, right? The offense is rolling, and if they keep it up and they kind of realize the Sixers don't have frontline depth. Paul Reed is a fun player, but he's 6'9". He's not going to protect the rim. They're long at the wing spots, but they're not big rim protector type players, and they just don't have that with no Rocco, and particularly not Joel Embiid. It's those dudes aren't there. And the Blazers just were relentless, particularly getting Jeremy Grant coming off curls and getting him into the paint. And in the third quarter, they did more of the same. 36-22, the Blazers outscored the Sixers in the third quarter, changed the game from a 3-point lead at halftime to a 17-point lead after 3, 94-77. A dominant middle 2 quarters in which they scored 74 points. And they did it by attacking the rim. 40 of those 74 came in the paint in the middle 2 quarters. They just got downhill relentlessly. Up 17 in the after 3, and they never trailed by fewer than that in the fourth quarter. Malcolm Brogdon and DeAndre Ayton stayed on the court for the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. But then it was over. The final 7 minutes of the ball game was decided when DA and Malcolm Brogdon got pulled out of the game. Jeremy Grant never got back in. Anthony Simons never got back in. They played the end of the bench, and Scoot freaking dominated and had 20 in the fourth quarter. And the Blazers cruise to a 130-104 win. That's your fastest recap in the West. We spent a little longer on it because we needed to appreciate it. To the box score, Jeremy Grant had 27. Hold on. I missed this in my run through. Jeremy Grant in the third quarter. A decisive third quarter that Blazers blew the game open and went and made it a rout, from a close game to a rout. Jeremy Grant went 0 for 1 on a 2, didn't attempt a 3-pointer, 7 points on 7 of 8 shooting from the free throw line. He just got to the rim and got fouled. The Sixers got into the bonus early in that third quarter with about 7 minutes left, and Jeremy Grant said, cool, I can draw non-shooting fouls. All I got to do is just get fouled, and I'm going to get free points, and he did. 0 for 1, 0 for 0, 7 for 8. Incredible 7-point shooting line in the third quarter for Jeremy Grant. He finished with 27. He didn't play in the fourth quarter. He was 7 of 13 from the field, just took 2 3-pointers, 12 of 13 from the free throw line, 5 boards, 3 assists. He was really good. DeAndre Ayton continues to roll, 18 and 6 in this game in 31 minutes. Malcolm Brogdon had 24 points, 5 boards, and 9 assists. He was really good, 10 of 14 from the floor. This is not a very good Ant game. He's, like I said, the first 4 minutes were so bad. He was so bad in those first 4 minutes. He had finished with 15 points and 6 assists. He was 1 of 7 from 3. He made all of his 2s though, 5 of 5 inside the arc, but he just didn't shoot well, and he was really getting picked on early on defense and turned the ball over a little bit. Only finished with 1 turnover, but just like had some bad plays to set it up too. I thought that it was not your best Anthony Simons moments by any means. Off the bench, Scoot Henderson, 22. 20 of those came in the fourth quarter. I will say he hadn't played particularly well in the opening 3 quarters, but he didn't have any turnovers. He had 2 points and no turnovers. 22 points, got to the free throw line, took 7 free throws in the fourth quarter. The Blazers finished with 29 free throw attempts. Last 2 games, they got to the free throw line just against the Bulls. They couldn't make any shots. And this one they do, 12 of 28 from 3. Not a ton of 3-pointers because they were getting into the paint, but you make them. That's 43% from 3. Off the bench, Toumani Camara, 6, Matisse Thybulle, 3, Duop Reith, 5. Scoreless minutes for Chris Murray and Ryan Rupert. And Taze Moore doing what he does, gets in there and scores. Every time he plays, he gets a bucket, 2 points and an assist in his 4.5 minutes, or 5 minutes rather. Kelly Oubre had 25 to lead the Sixers, 11 for Paul Reed to go with 6 boards, 14 for Pat Bev. Tobias Harris had 9, 3 for old friend Nicholas Batum. Off the bench, Marcus Morris had 9, and a bunch of other dudes play. I will say at the end of the game, Ricky Council the fourth played. I don't know who Ricky Council the fourth is. I do now. He had 2 crazy dunks. One a cockback slam. One pulled his right arm way back and slammed it like just a full-on right-handed punch, and another reverse dunk in transition. I don't know who Ricky Council the fourth is, but get him in the dunk contest because the dude can fly. He was fun, and like Scoot Henderson was cramming the home dunks on the other side, and it's like, all right, this is an entertaining fourth quarter. Good job, everyone. Way to play along. We need, in blowout games, you need a little entertainment, and Ricky Council the fourth and Sterling Scoot Henderson really got it done. Let's talk about appreciation. Let's hold on to our joy a little bit and celebrate this one, because this was a legitimately entertaining game. Let's celebrate a little bit in the second segment. Before we do that, I want to tell you about Quiz. They want They want to reward you for knowing about hoops. This episode is brought to you by Quiz, and it's Quiz with 3 eyes. It's the next generation of trivia experience. It's also the world's first platform where you can earn money playing knowledge games. And for my Locked On Blazers fans, they got an NBA quiz game just for you where you can test your knowledge and win real cash. How it works, you sign up, you can just play with your friends or other fans. You'll let your knowledge shine all the way to the bank. You can play without downloading anything. Just go to app.quiz.com, app.quiz.com. Start playing today. Go to that website, app.quiz.com. Sign up with an email address, and you play in real time and against head-to-head competition. And if you are faster and more knowledgeable about sports, about the NBA, that's what I was playing, you can win money. It's pretty good. NBA Quiz is the ultimate knowledge challenge for fans that live and breathe basketball. So go check it out. Go to app.quiz. That's Quiz with 3 eyes. App.quiz to test your knowledge and win cash today. That's Quiz with 3 eyes, just like a 3-pointer. Play now, showcase your skills, take home cash prizes. App.quiz.com, where fans become champions. All right. This game was fun because they were just really good. The Blazers' largest margin of victory prior to this game was back on December 26th when they beat the Kings by 17. But that game that game got out of hand at the very end. But like the Kings played their dudes down the stretch. That wasn't a blowout. Like it was just like, okay, they're up 12. Oh, 17. Okay. Like it turned into a rout, right? Like it wasn't particularly competitive when the final horn sounded or whatever. But like prior to that, there was competitive moments in the fourth quarter. There weren't really competitive moments in the fourth quarter. There was never, like I said, they were up 17 after 3. The Sixers never got closer than 17. Like that was it. The margin just swelled from there. Blazers led by as many as 31. Like they rolled on them. And you got to celebrate, and JG got to watch, and you got to have the end of this game. Like if you're a new listener to the program, one of the big tenets of this show is that you should hold on to your joy. And what that means is that when good things happen to you in life, specifically and broadly in life, but we applied here to basketball, like when good things happen to the team you root for or just to, the people that you love, you should hold on to your joys. You should embrace those moments. You should sit with things that you like, because right around the corner there's some stuff you don't like that's just going to wait to ruin your week. So when they do play like this, particularly coming off I thought Sunday's game against Chicago was pretty deflating, because it's like, well, if this is what they're going to look like and Scoot Henderson's not going to play very much, like what are we, the viewing public, supposed to enjoy about this ball club? But then they have this game where it's like Jeremy Grant just was awesome and got rolling, and they stayed with him, and they didn't like give him the ball at the top of the key and say like, go do your thing. They used him as an off-ball player for the most part, and then they leveraged all those double screens. They set 2 down, he's in the corner, they set 2 down, and he comes up those screens. Really common action, you see it across the league, but it allows him to go out to the 3-point line. It allows him to curl into the paint off the catch. It allows him to, catch at 3-point line and just immediately flow into a side pick and roll. Like they spammed that action a whole bunch to get Jeremy going, and they couldn't exactly figure out what to do with him. And then when they got worried about it, they ran something similar for him, and then with an added wrinkle where coming out of a timeout, Avery Simon set a back screen and they threw a lob to DeAndre Ayton, and DeAndre Ayton's dunking home lob dunks, dunking home alley-oops. DeAndre Ayton's had multiple dunks in back-to-back games. He's had 3 straight games with at least 18 points. He's starting to play well. Let's talk about Scoot for a moment and get back to the vets. I think one of my frustrations watching this team is that I just want Scoot to do more. I want him to have more responsibility. I want him to do more with the full understanding that he's going to struggle. And I don't think he played very well in the opening 3 quarters. Quite frankly, if it had gone another way, I don't know that Scoot makes the show. We might have just let him. He might have just been. We said, okay, and Scoot finished with 4 points on 2 of 9 shooting. Okay, bye. Like it would have just been like I wouldn't have sat with it too long. But 20 points is a lot. It's most by rookie in any quarter this season. a lot of it is coming when the game is decided. You're playing against the backups because the Sixers are shorthanded. But like, this is an NBA game where Scoot Henderson got to dominate. And what he needs right now is not for us to put caveats by it. And you should put a caveat by it. He scored most of he finished with 22 and 4 dimes and a couple steals and a block, and most of it came in the fourth quarter when the game was decided. But at this point for Scoot, he just needs to see the ball go in. He needs to see himself get past people and get to the rim. He needs to see himself hit a three-pointer, which he hit 3 of. He needs to see himself get fouled and get to the free throw line, which he did for 7 free throw attempts in the fourth quarter. Like, he just needs that positive reinforcement of, even against low-level pros, I can be good. He just needs moments where he can put it on film and not even put it on film, right? Like, I don't know that you like go back and watch, like, okay, well, when Furkan Korkmaz and Daniel House were at the end of the game, and when Jaden Springer and Terquavian Smith were in there, how did I get past T? Like, Wolfpack legend, go Pack. Shout out to my Uncle Matt. But like, that's not really what I'm not talking about, like putting it on film for the benefit of him when he sits down and watches film with Pooh Jeter and Scott Brooks tomorrow, like, which he often does. You'll see him pregame. Like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just the confidence that he can build. He just needs to build a little confidence. This is a great game to build confidence, and it's fun. Like, it's fun for us to watch this game and watch him like have this quarter where it's like, well, against this level of competition, Scoot his athleticism is too much. He can, get a shot off comfortably and get to the rim and find a rhythm. And when you find a rhythm, you're more confident shooting. When you're more confident shooting, you're on balance. You're thinking about the rim, not thinking about your feet and your elbow and all those things. Like, he needed it and he got it. And it was, to me, that's useful. If I was really nitpicking, I'd tell you how many minutes he played in the first 3 quarters. But I'm not doing that. I'm not nitpicking. But if I was really nitpicking, I'd tell you how many minutes he played in the first 3 quarters. Let's go back to the vets. I talked about kind of my frustrations with this. I want to see Scoot do more, knowing full well that he's going to struggle. Some of that is because the vets are also struggling, and it's hard to stomach when you score 94 points, go 6 of 33 against the Bulls, to be like, well, they got to play Malcolm Brogdon because he's better. I think he is better, and I understand why he's playing. I'm not confused. It's not a puzzle to me. It's not a puzzle to me why Jeremy Grant plays so much. It's not a puzzle to me why Scoot Henderson watches when the vets play. It's not a puzzle to me why Toumani Camara has lost his spot in the rotation. I've watched enough of the NBA and understand the rhythms of it that it makes total sense. But I don't enjoy it. I'm not supposed to enjoy the logic. Maybe I'm supposed to enjoy the logic. I don't enjoy the logic. I accept it, but I don't. It isn't. I'm not rah excited about it. I'm mostly annoyed. I'm mostly annoyed. So in games like this, where Jeremy Grant rocks and Malcolm Brogdon rocks and DeAndre Ayton gets rolling, it does become much easier to stomach. Like, this is why you're playing these dudes, and at least from all the reporting, it sounds like Jeremy Grant's going to be on the team after the All-Star break. Sounds like I know DeAndre Ayton's going to be on the team after the All-Star break. Like, these dudes are part of at least some version, like small timeline. Like, they're going to be part of the team, depending on what sort of how long you stretch it out. You want them to play well and get rolling. If this is your front court of the future, which it can't be, but like, because I'll lose my mind. But like, if this is the front court of the near future, it's like, I got no problem with it. It is much easier to stomach when Jeremy Grant plays well, and it's like, oh yeah, duh. And when Malcolm Brogdon plays like this, and it's like, duh. And when DA has, he's now 4 straight games scoring 18 a game. He's averaging at 18 and 10 at one point in his career. This is who he should be every night. And if this is who he is every night, then it's like, okay, it is so much easier it's so much more palatable to watch them play well. They're not going to score 130 a night, but hopefully they're not going to score 94 every night, right? Meet in the middle is like right the league average, like 115. Score a lot of points in the NBA in the modern world. It's fun, and then it causes me, someone who spends a lot of time like thinking about how will I discuss this team, to be less whiny. And we all need that in our lives, is for me to whine less. And moreover, like, Jeremy Grant played well and was enjoyable. Like, it's just like a relentless rim attack game from Jeremy. A relentless rim attack game where he took 2 threes. Malcolm Brogdon, steady as ever, makes his 3-pointers. He was, throwing lob passes, getting Jeremy Grant involved, just like he was that steadying presence. Ant wasn't very good tonight. It would be palatable if Ant was a little bit better, but he's, he had coming off two really good games, followed up by 2 pretty bad games. So like something to look forward to, I guess. But I will just say, like, I appreciated this game. I had fun. I had fun watching them play well. And then I will remind myself of all the little things I can complain about here. Is like, don't for a night. Hold on to your joy. Enjoy it. Appreciate it. Because it's fun, and that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I encourage you to do too. The next game is against the Bucks, and it's the Damian Lillard reunion, and it's going to be emotional and weird and all of those things, and that might be a whole nother thing to deal with. And then the trade deadline in the back half of the season might bring all of a million different pitfalls, right? So right now, if you listen to the podcast, say like, man, it was fun to beat the snot out of someone. It was fun to beat the snot out of another basketball. To watch the Blazers beat the snot out of another basketball team. So the final 7 minutes were everybody emptying their bench. So the team that I like, the Portland Trailblazers, could just like cruise to a victory, could get their biggest win of the season, could lead by 31 and cruise into the final seconds while they unload their bench and say, Taze Moore, you go crazy, man. Like, who cares? We won. We dominated. Hold on to your joy. Okay. Joel Embiid did not play in this game, and he is probably on track to not be, believe it or not, to not win the NBA MVP. He's averaging 36 points per game, scoring more points than he's playing minutes. Wilt friggin' Chamberlain. He's not going to play because of a dumb rule. Let's talk about that dumb rule, and I got a little history lesson for you to tell you why it's so stupid. That's what we'll do to close the show. But first, I want to tell you that today's show, this episode, is brought to you by BetterHelp. If you are thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. Therapy can help you find your strengths, so you don't have to say, what sometimes this time of year is like, I'm not holding on to my New Year's resolutions. I failed. Skip the resolutions. Therapy can help you find the tools and to cultivate what makes the best version of yourself. Regularly talking to someone, whether you're dealing with an acute traumatic event or, just the routine maintenance of trying to get better or work through things every day, our everyday lives. Therapy can help you develop those tools. It can be super beneficial, or it can just give you a thing to hold on to, some furniture in your week that you'll be able to sit with. And BetterHelp is convenient and flexible, and it's suited to fit your schedule because it's entirely online. All you do is fill out a brief questionnaire, you get matched with a licensed therapist, and then you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel, America's number one sports book. And as we head into the Super Bowl, a couple weeks away, it's a fun time if you are a first-time user to check out FanDuel.com/LockedOn. If you place a $5 bet or more, but up to $5 bet, a minimum $5 bet, and you win, well, they give you $200 of bonus bets to play with. And then you can just get wacky with Super Bowl week, betting on a bunch of player props. You can make, a live bet during the game, whatever you're looking for. If you don't want to bet on football, well, that's cool because they got every other sport you're looking with, including basketball games each and every night. So why not go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn to check it out. Place your $5 bet and get $200 in bonus bets to play with. We're heading into the Super Bowl, baby. That's FanDuel, America's number one sports book. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond. You are still listening to Locked On Blazers. Joel Embiid has missed 12 games now after sitting out against the Blazers on Monday evening at the Moda Center. He also missed Saturday's game under cloudy conditions. Maybe ducked Nikola Jokic because he's scared. So maybe he sat out this game to make it look like he's not scared. I don't know if he's scared. He might have a knee injury. All I know is that they should have put him on the injury report on Saturday, because when they didn't put him on the injury report and then he didn't play, it looked bad for everybody. It's embarrassing for the whole team. I talk about this with the Blazers a bunch, and I'll say it with the Sixers too. Like, the people who give out the public information, if you give out bad public information, it is a disservice to the players on the roster. Be as forthcoming as you can. And maybe Joel Embiid said, don't put me on the injury report. I want to play. And they held him out. That's at least what ESPN, Ramona Shelburne of ESPN reported. And that might be true. So maybe it's more than I know. But what I know is a bad look. It's a bad look on Saturday when he didn't play, and then that knee injury held him out again for what the Blazers what the Sixers, are calling left knee soreness. He played. He did not play this evening against the Blazers. The Sixers are heading into a back-to-back. They play the Warriors on Tuesday, so we'll see if he plays. If he doesn't play, it would be game 13 that he missed. You can only miss 17 games. You have to play at a minimum of 75 games to be eligible for end-of-season awards. That's All-NBA, that's MVP, Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think he's going to win that, but like, Joel Embiid is at worst the second best center in the league. He's like at worst the fifth best player in the league or something like that. Like, he's freaking great. But if he doesn't play that many games, he probably shouldn't be MVP. That's pretty normal. I got no problem with that. And guess what? Neither do the history of MVP voters for the sport. The league setting an arbitrary line for where players can qualify makes no sense. If Joel Embiid only plays 62 games, I believe the voting public, I don't have a vote, have never voted for MVP, even when I was did this full-time, work for the paper or whatever. I don't have a vote. I'm just like a dude with a microphone at this point in my life. It's a nice mic, dog. But I trust the voters could easily say, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's been better and he's played more games. Kawhi Leonard's been better and he's played more games. Luka Doncic has been better and he's played more games. Nikola Jokic has been better and he played more games. You're a 3-time MVP. Congrats. It is. I know that they will, because I followed this league a long time. And I looked this up. According to my research, thanks to StatMuse for this, only three players have missed in a season. There's been shortened seasons, so doing it by games missed is probably, there's been shortened seasons over the years, and the season used to be shorter back in the Bill Russell days. So it's like total games missed. 3 MVPs over the last 45 years, have missed more than 10 games. Joel Embiid missed 16 in the 22-23 season and won MVP. Allen Iverson missed 11 games during the 2000-2001 season and won MVP. And Bill Walton missed 24 games in the 77-78 season when he got hurt. The Blazers were 50-10 coming off a championship and won MVP. Other than that, a handful of guys have missed 10. They played in 72 games. MVP voters for 45 years have self-corrected when dudes don't participate and just said, yeah, that's not the MVP, because to be most valuable, you also have to be available. Availability matters. What the league is doing is trying to mandate that you play in big games and play on TV and make the shareholders happy and make, quite frankly, bettors happy as well. Like, gambling certainly has something to do with it. Television rights has something to do with it. Like, it's all baked in there. But like, I find the artificial threshold to be totally unnecessary, because if Joel Embiid plays in 66, plays in 66 and not 67 games, fine. Or 64, not 65 games. I'm screwing up the threshold. Fine. I don't care. He would, if he's deserving, he should be able to win it, because the voters should be smart enough to see it. I don't even think, I don't know that he was, he's not a shoo-in for the MVP for me. He would certainly be on my ballot the way you do it when you have the media ballots. You get a top 5. He'd be on my top 5, no problem. I'm not 100% sure I would put him over SGA and Kawhi Leonard right now today. And depending on where the Nuggets finish, like if they end up winning the West, and which they certainly could if they get hot in the final 35 games, easy money. Yeah, like Jokic could win the MVP. He's been good again. He hasn't been as wild as he has been, but has he been great? Absolutely. Like I'm not even making the impassioned case for Joel Embiid to win the MVP. I don't care. I have no rooting interest in JoJo getting more hardware. But it does seem to me that the NBA season will be a farce if he is not on an All-NBA team. When you look back, this stuff matters. And you'll say, he averaged 36 and 11 and played 33 minutes a night and put up 36 and 11 and he wasn't on an All-NBA team. What happened? Oh, there was rules back then where there were thresholds. And so instead, like, I don't even know what the big man would be because they've got rid of the centers, but that's how Jamal McGlure made the All-Star team. Shout out to my man. Like it's a nonsense threshold that makes no sense. It's not going to impact any of the Blazers this year because they're not going to win awards. But in the future, there's no reason for an artificial threshold. Trust the voters to decide. For 45 years, they've got it right. For 45, availability matters, and everyone freaking agrees. And how I know that is the history of voting for this stuff. So, Joel, hope you get healthy, hope you play. You're fun to watch, even though if your style can be a little grating at times. But, like, watching Tyrese Halliburton limp out to play the Blazers a couple weeks ago coming back early after 9 days from a hamstring strain. Now he's going to miss more time because he came back early. Do you think he came back early because he's eligible for a super max extension? He's going to lose something like $38 million by not making an All-NBA team by virtue of not hitting the 65 game threshold when he is far and away the best point guard in the Eastern Conference? Yeah, I think that's nonsense. I don't like messing with people's money. Yeah, rant over, show over. Guess what? We got fun ones tomorrow. Show's not over yet. We got to plug some stuff. We are doing a Locked On Blazers, Locked On Bucks crossover tomorrow, talking about Damian Lillard's play in Milwaukee, his return to Portland, what it all means to both sides, and what we can look forward to in the arena, and the Doc Rivers era started tonight. It's going to be a blast. Do not miss that show. That's going to be in your feeds on Wednesday morning, and then on Thursday morning or Thursday night for audio listeners, late at night, video listeners in the morning. That we will recap Dame's return to Portland. So 2 Dame-heavy episodes to follow. First, a preview, talking with folks who've watched him every single night and chronicled his first season with the Bucks, and then a fun one talking about the return. I will be in the arena and tell you everything, bring you everything I can from that game. So come back and listen to the show. Tell your friends to do the same. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon.